the general consensus, Jeffrey, is that the state of New York has botched this up just immensely, despite wanting to do the right thing by giving those that have been most impacted by the war on drugs an opportunity to get in.
Yeah.
Hasn't worked out so well, has it?
I mean, look, government is just usually not great at doing things like this, right? Their government is just generally not very good at entrepreneurial
Right.
or really business focused things. So, like, yes, you can say, I'm going to give, $30 billion in subsidies to chip companies to build chip plants. That's different than building chip plants. And I still absolutely believe in what they tried slash are trying to do. I advocated for some different ways to do it. We didn't do those ways. And I mean, Monday morning quarterbacking is easy. It's a little
Yeah.
different when it's Thursday morning quarterbacking, but whatever. Monday morning quarterback is, nobody likes that much, but I mean, we do it anyway. And so look, here's the thing ultimately. The analogy I like to use is it doesn't matter how bad of a Christmas shopper you are. On December 24th at 10:35 p.m., no one other than playing that Tiesto song, I don't know if it's Tiesto, whoever it is, no one is going to push a button and, oh, Christmas isn't coming. You go do your Christmas shopping. You go get ready. Like, you now know you're not ready. Go get ready, and then we'll hit the button again, and then Christmas will come. If you're not ready at 10:35 p.m. on Christmas Eve, Christmas is going to come. And just whatever you got is what it's going to be. And that's where we are in cannabis in New York right now. Christmas Day has come. We do have about 100 stores. We should probably have closer to 1,000 stores now, but we have, it's been 3 years. So we got about 100 stores. They had another round. We're going to see what the lawsuits like from that round look like. But, the thing is on. It's Christmas Day. Maybe it's even Boxing Day. I don't know. We're running towards New Year's at this point. Cannabis is happening in New York, and however prepared you were or weren't, now it's on. So here we are. That's it.
And a lot of states go through this too. It's here to stay now. Let's figure out how to get it right. And I don't think anybody really has gotten it right yet. You can certainly make cases for certain states, but I do want to focus. I do want to focus on the judge's decision this week because, while the Farm Bill in 2018 opened up a Pandora's box of legality of hemp, if you will, this particular decision by Judge Bryant stating that the regulations were arbitrary and capricious should have far-reaching implications for New York. Is that not the biggest clause here? Not the marketing deal, but definitely regulations in general.
Yeah. So just to be very clear for folks that are really following the inside baseball here, on Wednesday, he issued an opinion basically saying all the regs are out.
Right.
And on Thursday, he said, oh, wait a minute. Like maybe that was a little cray-cray. And just the regulations related to what the plaintiffs actually sued about, those are out. The state will certainly appeal, which will probably put the judge's ruling on hold, a stay, as we say, and then we'll figure all this out. So yeah, clearly the product label marketing and advertising rules are under serious question. I mean, I've regularly called them draconian. I think I probably called them draconian when we spoke before, if we discussed it. I mean, for those of you that remember Buck Rogers, the television show, not way back in the 20s and 30s, there was no TV then, but the television show in the 80s, which actually started as a movie. It was first like an hour-and-a-half movie. Gil Gerard is Buck Rogers. The enemy in that, you remember, Earth is a nuclear wasteland. They kind of, in New Chicago, I think, have the last vestiges of humanity. They're spacefaring somehow. And the bad guys in that are the draconian empire. I mean, it's unbelievable, right? So I just love that word. Anyway,
I just love that
draconian.
Jeffrey, I just love that you make references that I can totally relate to, both sports-wise and now age-wise, okay?
No, it's not just sports. I love doing that. I love to hyperlink to stuff. It's just how I roll. But so the rules were draconian. Basically, you had to advertise, it had to be into an audience that is not, and this rule is still kind of in effect, although that's probably will be challenged as well. We can talk about what the Weed Maps case really means, if you want, but
hang on. It's Leafly, not Weed Maps.
No, it's both. It's everybody.
Oh, okay, but I thought
it's everybody.
It was Leafly.
It's everybody.
The ledger. That's what I just.
We call that the caption, and they're in the caption, but this is applicable broadly. And
Gotcha.
again, we can unpack what that means. But again, it's just the rules generally are draconian. If you want to advertise, it's on you, the advertiser. You have to show that the audience is 90 or 91, I think it's 91% plus 21 or over, right? Because cannabis is 21. Alcohol doesn't have the same rule. I see alcohol ads on the Super Bowl, right? All
Right.
day long. And the rules are the same. Alcohol is 21 plus, cannabis is 21 plus, right? I don't get it. It's
No.
stupid. It's the dumbest thing I've ever seen in my entire life. It's draconian. If you want to use something more politely, I'm getting a lot less polite these days. People used to think of me as kind of the Bruce Banner in the New York cannabis industry. I'm kind of going to turn into the Incredible Hulk for a couple of reasons. Number one, because he's green, right? Hey, he's green. And, you wouldn't like me when I'm angry. And I'm getting angrier and angrier and angrier. And these marketing rules are just ridiculous. The only places you can market and advertise are strip clubs, bars, and casinos. That's it. Right. So, I mean, it's just whatever. If you
Actually,
want to get
we
go
had a
ahead.
dispensary as an advertiser on our show, and we followed the rules exactly as they were written. And
Yeah.
again, if you don't have a call to action and you have your disclaimer up there, you could pretty much get a message across that this place exists and where it is. And that was the travel agency dispensary
Yeah.
in New York.
Yeah. Was that the Union Square one or the
Yes.
Brooklyn one?
The Union
Just
Square
which
one, and then
location?
it became the Brooklyn one with the licensing thing, and I don't want to get into
Yeah.
that. But let's get back
I'd,
focused.
I'd love to I'd love to get into it because guess who the attorney is for the folks out in the Brooklyn one?
You.
If you want to really, yeah, of course. So if you want to know how that works, no one's breaking any rules. You can be a non-passive investor in up to 3 dispensaries in New York. That's the rule,
Yeah.
right? So there's nothing wrong, nothing at all wrong with. I mean, people were kind of freaking out when that second one opened, like, wow, they're giving them the second one. They're breaking the rules. They told us all we couldn't get it. No, no, no. You can be a non-passive investor in 3, and non-passive is over 20%. So this is all fine. Anyway, go ahead.
Good job. So my question is, does this Supreme Court ruling by this judge have implications beyond the borders of New York State?
So no.
Mhm.
And just to get everybody straight, everybody hears Supreme Court. We're New York. We like to do things that confuse everybody. Whereas everybody thinks Supreme Court in DC and in most other states, the Supreme Court is the highest court. Actually, here in New York, Supreme Court is the lowest court. So this is the court that's at the county level. It's the lowest court. This is not to mean like don't screw with these guys. I mean, it's like how in the federal system it's district court, court of appeals, Supreme Court.
Yeah,
This is the Supreme Court in New York State is at the district court level in the federal system,
great
right?
analogy.
Our top court here in New York is called the Court of Appeals, which also confuses everybody because you would think that is the second court, right? You would have your district court or whatever, where you would then go to the Court of Appeals, and then you would go to a Supreme Court. In New York, it's Supreme Court, and then we have a thing called the Appellate Division, and then they name the department that it's part of. So like Manhattan and the Bronx are the first department. The other parts of New York City and the home counties around it is the second department. Upstate to the north is the third department. I think out west is the fourth department. I may have that backwards. I can never keep track how this all works, but that's kind of how it works here. But so this is Supreme Court. This is the lowest court. And technically, this applies for the state, but it's the lowest level first court, right? So they had that opinion. Again, he had an original way it went. They had to narrow it, right? And just to the weed maps and something again, if you want to talk about why weed maps and what really is happening, there we can do that in a sec. But yeah, it's only applicable to New York. Like I said, they will now appeal it. It's up in Albany, which I think is the third department. So they will appeal it to the third department. If it's not, it's the second. It's either the second or third. I think it's the third. So they'll appeal it there. They'll say, hey, we were appealing. Give us a stay on what the judge wants. We need everything. We don't make us undo it. Then, if we undo it, everybody's going to do it. And then if we win, it'll be confusing and you're going to screw a lot of people. So let's just pause it for like 30 days and figure this all out. And then you'll figure out whether or not we're going to do something longer. Right. That's all. So that's kind of where we are now.
Now let's talk about the Office of Cannabis Management in New York.
Sure.
I'm somewhat familiar with what's going on with Jenny's in New York, and the little personal conflict between a member of the OCM and Jenny. What's your read on that, and is it vindictive?
So we just, look, It's a mess.
Yes.
I'll start with this way. You can't do and say the things that were done when you're a regulator about your regulatees. You just can't do that, right? You just can't. And
How old was that
this
guy?
is
How old was he? Damien Fagone. How old is he? Do you know?
Mr. Fagan. I don't know how old he is.
Yeah. Okay.
Look, I've worked, and it's just like this. I don't want to weigh in, and I don't want to muddy the waters here. And
Okay.
I just like I want to be very like he worked with me a lot to get some of the expungement rules fixed, right? So the guy is a smart gentleman, and he does care a lot about what we're doing. I do think he made a mistake
Mhm.
in how he behaved in this situation. I don't think anyone could debate that.
Yep.
And unfortunately, when you do that in a high profile role, the baby gets thrown out with the bathwater, right? So there are a lot of activists that are like, this guy was huge for us, and he was the bulwark for equity, right? If you really kind of look at it, I do think for whatever faults people want to put on any of these folks, I think Tremaine Wright and generally, except perhaps this example, and I maybe there's other examples, but some of these folks were some of the big proponents of the equity things we were doing. That said, Jenny is an equity person. It's a woman-owned business. You can't, even if Jenny was 100% wrong, and I'm not saying she is or was or anything, right? I'm not a judge here.
Yep.
Even if she was or is, you can't do what was done here. You just can't.
Right.
You were supposed to only be sitting there calling balls and strikes like an umpire in baseball, right? And so it's unfortunate that they were kind of cannibalizing. Like, look, there's nothing that the forces that hate cannabis like to see more than stuff like this. We're doing their work for them,
Right.
right? And
Yes.
so it's an unfortunate situation. I like Jenny a lot. I was just with her at an event the other night.
Yep.
We talked about something I posted about all these lawsuits, and I think she thought I was saying she filed a new lawsuit and people stopped filing lawsuits. That's not what I'm saying at all. If you are aggrieved and you've done your best, and the only way you're going to get satisfaction is through a lawsuit, that is how our system works. So I don't want to hear any complaint. I'm a lawyer. I'm not complaining about people filing lawsuits. I just file them when you actually have something. They used to say you can argue anything you want in court that you can say with a straight face. What I don't like is when people file things in court that they can't say with a straight face just because they got a ton of money and they want to screw over the people that don't have a ton of money. And that's a case that I've got going on right now in Peekskill. I don't know if you saw the lawsuit that was filed on Monday. We've not joined the case yet because we haven't been served. But you saw not on Friday. There was a lawsuit on Friday where they're trying to undo the proximity protection that a card up in Peekskill has been given. Mm-hmm. And I think the people that sued, when they found out it was me I don't think they knew it was me on the other side. I think they were a little surprised, just because, I think you're counting, if you're the wealthy people up there in Peekskill doing this, I think you're kind of counting on being able to roll these people, right?
Yep. Hey, this is one of the reasons.
Yeah.
This is one of the reasons why when people ask me what would be a good part of the industry to invest in, I always have that same answer: a good law firm. A good law firm.
Yeah, litigation. Well, unfortunately, you can't invest in law firms. The only people that can be equity participants in law firms are lawyers.
Right.
So
I say it as comical. I say it as a funny.
No. It's well. Hold on. There does seem to be a movement to change that a little bit. I mean, there's definitely stuff going on where lawyers want to retire too, and if your biggest asset that you own isn't your home but it's your law firm, how do you sell 70% of your law firm to a venture capitalist? The answer is you can't. Right. So it's just, there's absolutely, I don't know if it's a good idea or not, but there's definitely some movement in some places to think about that. Anyway, let's keep talking about cannabis.
I wanted to ask you this question about the fact that this industry, a new industry, is constantly under the microscope, and traditional media tends to look for anything that this industry will do, stubbing their toe, so that they can lead their news with it because they know it will get attention, and that's how their ratings work. That's how commercial media works. I'm somewhat familiar with that. That being said, shouldn't traditional media also do balanced reporting? So for every one of those stories, where's the story about the person who cannabis has saved my life, cannabis has changed my life?
Doesn't sell newspapers.
Newspapers are dying, by the way. So is local news. So it's not.
I got it, but that's the answer. Doesn't sell newspapers, and the newspapers is the generic term for any type of advertising.
I get you.
In press, and that's true of everything in our society, right? I mean, look at the headlines. Show me any big positive in any headline, right?
The term rubbernecking explains human behavior, right?
I don't know that
You drive by an accident, on the highway, everybody's head turns and checks it out. There's that inquisitive nature of humans.
So here's the thing. I like to use it is rubbernecking is a term that can be used for. The difference for me with rubbernecking is you're driving by there because that's where you need to drive. And it just happens to be there, so there it is, and you look at it.
Yeah.
I think it's more Schadenfreude. I think it's more that people, we all, and look, I like to think about human psychology.
Me too.
Everyone's having a tough time out there. Like, and no one's having it easy. You're married, you got 5 kids, and oh my God, I'm going insane. You're the husband in that relationship, and your business is a problem, or you might get fired. Everybody's got whatever your thing is, right? You got a problem.
Yeah.
People measure themselves, and like all these studies show it. It's not that you have $1 trillion. It's how much money do the people around you have. And if you have $1 and everybody else around you has 50 cents, you're feeling pretty damn good about yourself, right? And that is simply how we as humans interact with the world, right? So what do you kind of feed off of? Well, I've got a shithole going on around me right now. If I see that everything's a mess everybody's got a mess. Maybe my mess isn't so bad. So I think there's more going on here. I just think there is a very big human psychological dynamic, which is why we seek out bad news to reaffirm to ourselves that yes, everybody else is getting, and maybe I'm not doing so bad. Whereas if the news was all the time how great everything is, and you're sitting there and no matter how good your life is, look, my life is unbelievably amazing, okay? But like, bad stuff happens, right? A crane falls on your apartment and you have to move out, right? Or whatever. That didn't happen to me, but plenty of people that are very wealthy in New York City had that happen. So, I mean, it's all relative, and you base it on what's going on around you and in your peer group and in what you see. And that's kind of how we function as humans. Do I think the press ought to do a hell of a lot more positive stories? Absolutely. It just doesn't sell newspapers. New York, as far as having a problem and like being featured about this, I mean, anybody that expected anything else, I would have bet you, I would have said to you, I accept the bet. How much, right? It's just, come on. New York is the hardest place to do anything. It's the reason why Frank Sinatra sang that song, right?
That's right.
Right? I mean, like, people forget that. Like, people take that as like in their mantra, and then it's like, oh, well, why wasn't it easy? New York should have seen how all these other states, it should have been easy for them to do it. You can make it there, you'll make it anywhere. Why? Because it's so fucking hard to do, right? It's just, that's reality. Come on. That's Absolutely. Reality. Absolutely. So of course it was going to be a mess. It is a mess. It's now Christmas Day. I mean, Christmas Day is come and gone. It's Boxing Day. It's New Year's. Maybe we're on to MLK Day. I don't know. We're somewhere along the chain of holidays, and you still haven't done your Christmas shopping, right?
Right.
So what can I tell you? Maybe by Christmas next year, you'll have done your Christmas shopping. I don't know.
This leads right into the next news item of the week, which is the amount of debt that the industry has in comparison to its revenue. And I believe it's now, I think Bo Whitney's group had 4.2 billion he's projecting by the end of the year in debt because nobody can pay their bills. Who do you point the finger at for that? Because I have an opinion of it, of course.
So the answer is everybody. Everybody. Okay,
I think it's
hold
regulations. I think it's the.
That's fine.
I think the government has done a great job of making it as difficult as possible for this industry to survive.
Okay, so hold on. It's everybody. And let me explain to you why it's everybody.
Okay.
The dude that goes and gets a new lease on a 650 BMW because his dispensary opened and I'm going to make $100 million this year, and puts his family on the payroll so they can get health insurance, which totally happens in every industry, but come on.
Yeah.
If you want to make it in half of new businesses fail. Why are we picking out the cannabis industry for this? Half of new businesses fail, and whatever the number is. So let's start there. It's number one. So 90%. All the same idiotic, all the same. Well, I think 90% is actually high, but whatever. It's some big number. Big number. We agree on that. Okay. So all the same bad decisions that get made in every line of business are getting made here. That's number one. Number two, everyone goes into the cannabis business knowing it's still federally illegal. You got 280E out there, and if you're going to follow by the rules, you're going to pay taxes on the overwhelming majority of your revenue, not your income. And people get into this industry. You knew that. It's like you didn't read the rules on the box top before you decided to play the game. And I'm with you. We can have all the bad regulation you want, but there's plenty of players in this, and most of them, I would frankly say, that did not appropriately plan.
Right.
I mean, I'm seeing it, as you can imagine, here in New York. I have a front row to seat to everything. I got a ton of clients. I'm very involved. I know what's going on. The number of deals that I would never see get done in any other industry, because there's no pro forma, there's no use of funds, there's no business, but there's nothing. Just give me $1 million to build this. I don't know how much cannabis we're going to sell. Let's go, right? Yep. It's unbelievable to me. So that is why I blame it. Yes, I blame the regulators too. The tax scheme in New York is ridiculous. You should have no taxes if you want to really fight the illicit market, where you're going to have a competitive disadvantage because of your tax scheme. Have a tax holiday for the first 3 years of the business, or have a tax holiday until the revenue in the industry is $1 billion. I mean, I don't know. We could get a couple of economists in a room and some of the really smart cannabis. We could get Dave Valtrin from travel agency, my boy at travel agency. We could get some really smart people in the room, and we could really figure out where is the number that the regulated market needs to get to, where at that point it is humming, and then we start charging taxes, right? There's all kinds of stuff we could do, but I also do blame some operators, not all of them. There's plenty of operators that are doing the best they can, and they are getting every which way by government, 100%. But there's plenty of bad, just like any, and again, why are we singling out cannabis that is not like other industries? There's plenty of people that were in cannabis before that are legacy, and doing it as a regulated shop is not even remotely close to doing it like it was in legacy. So you're not ready to do it in regulated. If you like, people say, oh man, I did this in legacy, I'm ready. No, you're not. If you've never run a business, if you've never had employees and W-2s and regulatory rules, and this, if you haven't done it like that, there's nothing. I mean, yes, you've learned how to hide what you're doing. In this, you have to be very open about it. I mean, it's a different kind of game, right?
Yep.
And so I blame everybody. Go ahead. And I got to go to another call here shortly. Are we good? You got anything you want real quick?
I just want a quick response about the illicit market in New York. Is there any end in sight?
No, because there's no end in sight for it, period. It has nothing to do with the end in sight in New York. So look, in New York, we have the huge problems of the bodegas converted. You've got stores named Granny Zaza's Marijuana Cannabis Dispensary with balloons that say grand opening and the whole thing.
Right.
You had one of the Zaza stores literally across the street from a city council person's office.
Yep.
Literally across, like the city council person looked out her window every day at the illicit cannabis store. It's unbelievable, right? So it's never going away. And this is the problem. Like, you could enforce against those stores, and that store has now they put a padlock, that one across the street from the city councilwoman. Yeah. They put a padlock on it. They cut it. The store cut it, reopened, and then the city went back and put 3 padlocks on it and said, we're watching you, and you really don't want to cut those 3. You really don't want to cut those 3 padlocks. Just trust us, you don't.
Or what? Or
no, hold on. Like, okay. You do have to escalate here. You can't just drop I'm an attorney, and I'm going to start very soon dropping nuclear weapons on people. Remember what I said about the regulator before, who's operating under the color of governmental authority? Yep. Same thing here. These folks are operating under the color of governmental authority. Their first step can't be dropping nuclear weapons. They can't. They will then get appealed in court and lose. I'm an attorney. My first step is I drop nuclear weapons because I want you to know how serious I am. And I really don't want to spend a lot of my clients' money dealing with you. You understand what I'm saying? So I drop nuclear weapons early and we get it done with. The state can't do that. The city can't do that. They have to do it in gradual steps. But that's just the people they know about. Most of the illicit market is people they don't know about. It's the plugs that were still on the street who frankly are getting hurt by Granny Zaza's Cannabis Dispensary. And frankly, the plugs on the street would like to see them shut down. Who got hurt the most from all these storefronts opening? The plugs, the illicit market plugs. They would love to see. But the illicit market plugs, my line is, Real Legacy don't want you to know what Real Legacy is doing. And you can't enforce them because you don't know what they're doing. So that's always going to exist. There you go.
Jeffrey Hoffman, ask me anything about cannabis. I did. I appreciate you. I like watching your show on Wednesdays at 4:20, and you can see it where?
On LinkedIn. On LinkedIn.
We are Pro Cannabis Media.